How is everyone doing on this fine, rainy, stormy night in Detroit, Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War and co-host of Music and Mayhem with Skylar Ray. And we're jumping around with another show called Messing with Manny Vitale that just is basically the same thing I've been doing, but now it's got a cute little title. And yeah, I hit the wrong intro again. Actually, Jim, our guest, who is on Talking Trash, one of the guys, not Jim, Tim, was nice enough and hooked me up with an intro.
Mm-hmm.
And but YouTube keeps going, no, you can't do that, Manny. So he's nice enough to hit me up with another one, and yeah, I keep hitting the wrong one. But there's 20 seconds of your life you'll never get back.
Mm.
Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great night. We have a very special guest, man. Kajsa is a host on Talking Trash, along with Tim, Jim, Will, and Billy, and sometimes me on there, having a great time. And she does an amazing job on there. Her story is incredible. Um, we got a lot of things that she was telling about herself just off screen a minute ago about our similarities with organ issues and liver, and that we'll get into as well. But before we do that, we got to pop OG on. There she is.
Here I
Getting
am.
ready to do her OG thing. And
I've already said welcome to
and
Marla.
here we go. We got
Marla.
Marla. Marla, how you doing, Marla? Thank you so much for popping on with us.
Just so you know, if you hear noise in the background, we have some storms coming through.
We do. We've got some storm sends, so hopefully it's not going to mess with our internet, but you never
It's not Manny's stomach growling.
Yeah, well, it could be. But thank you guys for coming on. And Skylar is no Skylar tonight as of yet, but hopefully we'll see him shortly. But tonight, like I said, we got Kajsa coming on and going to be sharing her story. So you know what? Let's just get her on here. Let's get this sucker going.
Yeah.
Kajsa.
Hey, hi everybody.
God, I haven't
there we go. I'm over here.
I haven't talked to you in 20 seconds, man.
Right.
You know? But how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for asking me to come on here and tell my story.
Oh, I tell you, I've been very honored and blessed to come on your guys' show a couple times.
Few times, right?
Have
3 or 4 times.
Absolute right.
Yeah.
I have so much fun with you guys because it reminds me of what we do here. It's just like let loose, and you don't for me. So what are you gonna talk about? I don't know. I'll let you know when I hit live, except on nights like when we have a guest on tonight. It's about Kajsa and your story.
She's the star tonight.
Just like you guys host it, and then when you have someone come on, it's showtime.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna do now is say bye to OG, and
bye, OG.
Bye.
We've got OG, and she's answering all the questions, comments, concerns. If you have any questions for Kajsa or any questions about their platform over at Talking Trash, please reach out. But yeah, man, it's nice to see it. It's kind of weird though, because I'm waiting to see Tim and then Jim and Will pop up, but
I'm solo, but they're watching, I think. My dudes.
Well, Tim, Jim, Will, Billy. If you're watching, man, if you better be watching. Oh, I like our little action figures, by the way. I saw. I go, what is that? That's me.
Yep.
Oh man, but yeah, you guys, just like with us here, we people hear our stories, and then we have guests coming on, and we're going through so many different people's stories, and just amazing. And then it's just like, well, the hosts of the shows, we've got stories too, man. And that's why we got into doing this. And tonight's yours. So thank you for sharing. And, right off the bat, I know you're in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we start off by just tell us a little bit, who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff to get this party started.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Kajsa, and I am an alcoholic and an addict. 5 years, 5 months recovered.
Yeah.
And I say recovered because I have tools to recover from my spiritual malady and my addiction every single day, which I work. I live in Spring, Texas, which is just north of Houston. I've been here I think like 43 years now. I import and export parts for ships. I've been at my job for 21 years. They put up with my shit for,
Mhm.
oh boy, did they. Anyway, so, you know,
Man, I tell you, when hearing that, because obviously that was during the times where
yeah.
with addiction, and a lot of our stories are, I lost this job, I lost that job, I lost this family member, that family member, all these lost. And here you've been with how many? 23,
21.
21 years. So we'll definitely get into that. But
Yeah.
I mean, just like you said when you mentioned that with the same company. So that right there is a story in itself.
That's a
Mhm.
blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So like a lot of us, man, when we, hear all these different stories, it's amazing how, you know, all of our stories are so different. But when it comes down to the core of it, it's just like, yeah, it's like we all get it because they're all the same, but the journey,
way.
everything's so
Mhm.
different. But for you, sometimes it's like the growing up, the childhood and all that. How was your growing up? What was childhood like for Kajsa?
Well, my my mother is from Sweden and my father is black. So, I was born in the early 60s. I'm 63 years old, and by the grace of God, I am still alive. And so, when I was raised, it was kind of, I did get some problems with some folks being, mixed.
Mhm.
My mom had very blonde hair. My brother and I had these afros, and we were like these wild little children running around. Um, my mom did remarry, and we moved to Manhattan, Kansas, with my stepfather, who, Dr. Gricci, who was Italian, and he immediately took my brother in as his own. So we moved to a small college town. So things weren't, as bad, I guess, as it would have been if we were in a bigger place. But I did get some shit. But I did have very loving parents. Not so much my biological father. I'm not really sure he knew how to deal with a daughter. My
Mhm.
brother, of course, the sun rise and shines out of his butt and
Mhm.
everything. But so I was a bit different.
Yeah, being like now when you mention that, coming from a family, mixed mother, father, and all that. Now it's just like, and
And
it's like not even a thought. But like you said, this is 60 years ago,
Yeah.
and the setup and the makeup of the world was totally different, even though it was not that long ago.
and
I
in the
mean,
South.
it's what's that?
And in the South.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I was in Kansas.
you weren't in Kansas anymore, Tudu.
Not
Total,
anymore. I just clicked my
total.
heels together and here
Yeah,
I
but
am.
yeah, I mean, so when you were saying that, that's the first thing that kind of caught my attention. Was like, oh, okay. So where did you move to? What from?
Manhattan, Kansas.
From
You moved
Manhattan, Kansas
just. Oh, okay.
to here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it was a very small town. Everybody knew your business. I was like, I want to go live where it's big, diversity. Blah. Oh well, I sure found it here.
Oh
You
boy.
know, so
So
yeah, I packed
you've been there how long now?
43 years in July. July 1st will be 43 years.
And how big is the population?
Oh
Yeah,
God,
compared to
what
where you were,
Houston?
it's.
No,
Uh,
not Houston. Spring, Texas.
I'm not sure. It's not that big, but I mean, Houston's right next door, and then you got
Yeah.
Conroe and the Woodlands and everything. It's like it's all attached together. I mean, you go from Galveston right there at the ocean, and just come straight up north, and I mean, it's just like all one big city. You know,
Yeah.
it's
It is.
huge.
Man,
So
so how old were you when you moved?
I was 20 years old. I I had a 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme that was turquoise blue.
Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it blew smoke. I had, I think, $163 in my pocket. I had 4 big boxes of albums. Um, I
those
put
are
those in.
records, by the way. People are like, "What's an album?"
Yeah, album, old records,
Yeah,
33. Yeah, 33
33s,
RPMs,
44 or 45s.
45s. Yeah,
Yep.
the little ones.
Yeah, the big
Yeah,
old
so because I
plastic.
needed those and
Mhm.
whatever clothes I could, I freaking came down here.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, so this little journey that we've all encountered with our trip with addiction. How old were you, and how did that whole journey
Mm.
come into play? How old were you, and how'd that even happen?
Okay, so like I said, I had my stepfather, God rest his soul, was Italian. So we were allowed to have a sip of wine at dinner. So at 10, this is what I remember. Uh, they gave us a glass with just a little bit of wine in it. So I remember drinking it. I don't remember feeling any different.
Mm.
So also my 10th birthday, I was having a slumber party, and my mom says, well, Kajsa, I guess they had some friends over. They said, Kajsa, do you want to come smoke the peace pipe? And I'm like, okay. I don't know what the peace pipe is. So I went out there and I took a puff and okay, all right. So I went back in my room. I don't remember anything feeling any different or anything like that. So, now I'm in what do you call it? Junior high. That's it. And so my friends, kind of the black sheep of their families and whatnot. So we decide we're gonna go drink. So let's get a bottle of bourbon. Let's go to the drive-in movie because that's what was going on. That's
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah. So we had like 6 people packed in a car, and so we're passing around this bottle of bourbon, and they handed me the bottle, and I just took it and I turned it upside down, and I took like 10 really long pulls off the
Oof.
bottle. 10.
Oof.
And then I'm like, yeah, because woo, look at me go. And yeah, watch me go later. So, and then I immediately felt this feeling, and I'm like, ooh, okay, that's all right. I like that. So, anyway, I proceeded to get sicker than a dog.
Mhm.
I'm hurling all over the drive-in. Luckily, we're outside. My friends are running me back and forth to the bathroom. Other people there are like calling me names and stuff, and my friends are about to get in fist fights with them and stuff because they're going to protect me, whatever. Yeah. So I remember waking up. Oh, I stepped on a bee too because I was barefooted,
Mm.
and apparently I am allergic to bees, and I have a reaction. But anyway, so the next morning I woke up and oh my god, I was hungover. I was throwing up. I mean, I felt awful, but I couldn't wait to drink again, even though
Yeah.
I felt like dog shit. I
How
wanted to
how old
drink.
were you at this point? What was that?
14,
14.
14.
So you had your first drink, and instead, well, you didn't have your first drink. You had your first bottle.
Yeah,
Because
right.
down.
Upside down,
Oh my.
bottoms up.
Oof.
Yeah. So, and then so, really from that moment, I was going to drink. I didn't drink all the time, not then, but that was just a yet. But when I drank for the sole purpose to get a buzz, to change the way I feel,
Mhm.
and I just remember through the years people saying, something about drinking. And I'm like, well, don't you drink to get, trash? Well, no. And I'm like, well, what's the point then? See, that was my, oh, one of my friends is watching. Hi, Mary. Anyway, so that was my whole deal. I just was going to drink. I wanted to change the way I feel because, in the beginning, it felt fun. It felt fun. Hi, Mary.
So there was no social. Let's just have a drink or two. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
hell no. We're drinking half a bottle.
No. And I mean, it was, gross. Back then, we were like cherry vodka, Boone's Farm. There
Oh,
was
it
this
had a
nasty
Mad
stuff.
Dog, Boone's
Oh,
Farm,
absolutely. Mad Dog 2020.
Mad
I
Dog
hated the taste
2020.
of it, but it didn't matter because I'd hold my nose. I have to taste it. I'm not here to taste the booze. I just
I'm
want the
here to get.
effect.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here to get hammered.
Oh
That was all
man.
I didn't care. So with the drinking, eventually, came other side dishes that I did alcoholically. You spin the wheel. Yeah, I did it. And so throughout, junior high and high school, just basically the same thing over. at the age of 17, my boyfriend bought me a Harley Davidson, and I rode it to high school.
Wow.
And it was a 3-wheeler. So the back of it was like this box, right?
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
it also had a PA system on there and an 8-track tape player. Man,
Oh my goodness.
oh,
Man.
beautiful, beautiful. I love that motorcycle. Anyway, so whenever we would go to the lake and party, I had all the booze in the back of my motorcycle, right? And so we'd all
Mhm.
ride our bikes out to the lake and get wasted. And many nights I woke up, well, I guess that would be mornings. I woke up on the gravel, sleeping right next to my motorcycle because I was like, I'm not going to drive, but I'll just sleep right here. I didn't care, you know? Yeah. So, so that was that. After high school, I went to I went to cosmetology school, and that was a huge party. So there was this place we used to go, and on Thursday nights, it was for 1 hour. It was 3 drinks for the price of one, and then an hour after that, it was 2 drinks for the price of one. Well, God dang, don't you know that that's what we need? We need to have 3 drinks for the price of one, but it wasn't just 3 in an hour. I mean, I probably had 20 drinks in an hour, and then I stayed for the next hour. And I mean, I
Sure.
remember our table was just nothing but booze, just booze. And that's just basically how I lived. You know, I was insane, drinking. Finished a cosmetology school, and then I decided after a while I would move here to Houston. And hey, Monica, right on, girl.
You
Yeah,
loving
Booze
that
Farm.
booze shop too. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
so
what though, Kajsa, that's what we, back then, talking about how, here you talk about, drinking and drink responsibly when they're doing specials like that. Well, same thing with us, man. We had certain nights it was dollar night, certain nights it was quarter
yep.
night, quarter drafts, quarter. We'd go there with
Hmm.
$10, and
Mhm.
like you said, the table was just a mass of the plastic cups and all that stuff. So yeah, it was crazy, man. But so this is like all through high school, man. Is it mainly liquor? Is it are
Um,
drugs involved, or is it still just liquor at this point?
well, it was mostly liquor, but I mean, I remember speed being a big deal back then, and I did
Mhm.
my fair share of that. Mushrooms,
Mhm.
acid. I did plenty of that. Um, yeah, and of course weed. But you know, I drank the most because it was the easiest to get a hold of.
Yeah, it was legal.
Right? And then I mean, and then there was always somebody in the crowd. I mean, the guy that delivered our pizzas used to deliver weed to us. So
Ah,
we'd order a pizza and get a bag, you know.
Man, that's perfect for your munchies, man. You
oh,
smoke your
Right?
joints, you had your pizza, and then you also have your liquor. You're good to
mhm.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So then I decided I would move here because I wanted the big city life, And yeah, it was once I moved down here, it was pretty crazy. I just I worked. I would get a job in a bar because so I could be close to the booze. I wanted to go. I wanted to become a nurse, but I had such fear of failure that I went to school and I did get a degree in science, but to and it took me like 10 years to do it. So um, I was too afraid to become a nurse, because I didn't want to fail. So I thought, well, I can't fail if I'm a bartender because I'm a good bartender and I'm a good partier and I like to make sure everybody gets good and drunk. And, I thought that was the thing. Plus, I'm right there by the booze. I make plenty of money. People would tip me in party favors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it, it was the life. So God dang, I don't know, 20, 25 years, a little bit longer than that. I was in the bar industry. Um, and I mean, we just were crazy. And I remember for about 10 years where I slept all day and I would
Mhm.
get up and I'd go to work at night and I'd stay up until, well, it depends. I mean, even if I went to sleep, sometimes I wouldn't go to sleep till like 3 days later or five
Mhm.
Oh
days
man.
later or whatever.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
when you're in that environment, I had my brother Jerry, who the one that passed away right in my arms, was a bartender. And what a great place if you're dealing with any type of addiction, man, because like you said, you're surrounded by beer and liquor, but you're also in a bar where someone's coming in, someone had weed, someone had coke, so
Mhm.
whatever you wanted, depending on the
Yeah.
bar and all that stuff. So I mean, it was just party central. And not only that, but like you were saying, how you'd sleep all day because we'd be out, just because the bar would close at 2, by the
Yeah.
time they would get done getting people out of there, and well, you did it, the cleanup, doing everything else. It's
Mhm.
4:30 in the morning
Mhm.
ish, and you're still there. And now it's just like us getting off work at noon or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. These guys, they're like now they're ready to party because it was insane, and it was just nonstop partying.
Yeah, absolutely. And my roommate, you know, she worked in a bar. All my friends, we all worked in bars. So whenever we went out, somebody knew us or one of us, and I mean, we would walk into a place and just be packed full of people, and they'd see us coming, and they're like, "Come on!" And we'd go right to the front of the line, go straight to the bar. They'd have our drinks already, shots and vodka
Mhm.
sodas, whatever we were drinking. We always got the carte blanche treatment, and that was great fun. I loved that.
Yeah,
Mary.
yeah, and the thing, because then as a bartender, I mean, you serve somebody, and then what they'd be like, Kajsa, you want one? So here you're
Mm,
serving people drinks. So I mean, I remember
absolutely.
some of the bars I was at, the bartenders were more shit faced than we were because they're serving me one and I'd buy them one. Well, there's 20 people at the bar. I'm having one, giving them one, but they're getting one from, oh, I just had one. Well, here, do a shot. Okay. So
Yeah.
the bartender's pounding a drink and shots, one for one with me and everyone else at the bar.
Yeah, I mean, I really could drink alcohol and hold my liquor because I mean, I was responsible for money. I was responsible for closing down the restaurant, doing uh inventory, ordering stuff. I, I hate to say functional alcoholic, but I really did a lot of shit and I was hammered, and everything else, Um so so once I don't know, I think I was turning, no, I think maybe towards the latter part of my 30s, I was like, well, I I probably need to find something else, something during the day, so I'll not be awake all night, So I went and I found the job that I have now, um, importing and exporting parts for ships.
Mhm.
Uh, and I would just work like in the afternoon, so I could work that night and then come in at like 1 o'clock or whatever. And then that changed, and then I was full time. Um, and for about 10 years, I did that and I bartended. Well, I'm still staying up, getting like 2 hours of sleep
Mhm.
and getting up and going to my other job, working it. And, I think I worked in the bar like 4 nights a week and then 5 days a week at my day job, of course, and then on call. But anyway, so, and I went to school too. So after that, I decided that I was going to quit bartending. And because, I had the shittiest attitude. I did not care what you wanted because, this is the only place in town where the customer is never right. I'm the bartender here. I'm in charge. Okay. So
Never
just,
piss off the bartender.
yeah. And I remember having a t-shirt that said bartenders are gods. I'm like, how freaking arrogant. How arrogant, and I was rude. Oh my God. Anyway, so so then I ended up quitting bartending and I was just working at my day job. But I was still partying. Nothing stopped. Um uh so I'm gonna just cut to because same old shit years and years and years and years.
So this is all with all this partying. I mean, there's a lot of drinking. But was that like the gateway though? I know you said you were smoking weed. Were there other drugs that were going on at
Oh,
this time?
oh, absolutely, yeah. I
So
mean,
you're doing,
everything.
you're doing blow, you're doing shroom,
Blow,
you're
yes,
doing
shrooms.
everything. Did it ever? What about going into? Did you ever hit the needle doing
No,
heroin? I mean,
no. And here's a funny story. I never tried heroin because I thought I would love it.
well, you know what? How many times have you heard that on your show? That
Yeah.
we've had the same thing where I've talked to people and they're talking about doing everything, and not well. Actually, for me, I've never touched it, and then uh, it was just one of those things where I thought, of people that did heroin, they were addicts.
Mm.
We weren't. I wasn't
You're
because
just
I
drinking.
didn't do heroin. I didn't use a needle, so I didn't have a problem. Even though I'm sitting there doing all this other shit and just getting more shit faced than some of them that were doing heroin and all that. But I looked at it differently because they were shooting up. And
Yeah.
how fucked up is that?
Yeah. Well, I remember, because my dad lived overseas. So when I was little, I would go visit him in Honduras and stuff, and a couple other places. But I always had to get shots, right? So, I'd always have to get a shot in my
Oh,
arm before I went. So I was like, I don't like needles. I don't want to,
mm.
And then I was, I'd like heroin, so I'm not going to try it. And I knew it involved the needle. So I just was like, nah, you know, I didn't even know you could snort it till later. People said that. I was like, oh, good thing I didn't know that. But, anyway, so, um, all right. So I'm going to just cut to when I started to drink every single day.
Well,
So,
just before you go into that,
okay.
with all this going on, because you started at 14,
Yeah.
and it was, I mean, that was that first time at the drive-in when you decided everyone's taking a sip, passing around, except Kajsa, 10 big gulps, and then it was on. Now,
Yeah.
then from there to bartending and all that, and but you're working not one but two jobs, three jobs, going to schools, you're doing all this stuff. What's going on, like, with the family and friends? Well, mainly like the family. Are they saying, is there anyone that's like, hey, Kajsa, is there something going on? Is there a problem? Did anyone try to intervene at all?
Well, let's see. My mom was here at the time, and I know at one point she told me she was going to Al-Anon because um, she knew I
Mm.
was doing something. And at that time, I was heavily, heavily into cocaine. That was a huge, huge thing for me. And I mean, I remember times where we were supposed to go have Mother's Day lunch or whatever, and I would call her up because I hadn't been to sleep for 3 days, and I'm like, I can't go, Bob, and so
Oh,
that was
isn't it
not good.
amazing how many times we had the flu? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
or food poisoning. Oh, I ate something, didn't agree with me. I can't go. So we're missing all these family functions and stuff. And with all that too, with missing that, and I just want to try to keep up with you as far as it's how affecting your family and friends. During any of this time, was there any encounters with law? Did it ever have any issues with being
um
pulled over, tickets, jail time, and all this?
you know what? No.
Hmm.
No. And I don't know how I didn't get a DWI ever, because the last 3 years of my drinking career, well, I mean, the whole time I was in my addiction, I was fucked up and driving. I just didn't do it every single day. But the last 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years in my addiction, when I started to drink every single day, I mean, I don't know how I didn't get a DWI. Hey, Ronnie. I had gotten pulled over a couple of times. Uh, I have to cut to this story real quick. When I was in Manhattan, my friends and I had gone out partying, and then I had to go take my friend to Junction City and drop her off, but I had to drive through the Army base, Fort Riley, right?
Oh
So,
my god.
yeah. So my roommate at the time, she's passed out in the back seat, and she had a bag of Doritos. Okay, so I'm driving, and there's like this hairpin curve, and I'm like all over the road. All of a sudden, here comes the military police. Wee, wee. I'm like, oh fuck, because I'd been drinking beer, so you know how beer smells, stale
Mhm.
beer, and I'm like, And I grabbed a handful of freaking Doritos and I shoved them in my mouth.
They'll never know.
Yeah, and I, and he's like, the cop's like, young lady, and I'm like, hi, sir. Yeah, and he goes, oh my God, how you were driving? I go, oh my God, I am so sorry. I go, my friend back here, and he goes, you know what? I smell alcohol, and I go, it's her. She was at a party in Junction City. She called me, got me out of bed. I had to come get her. Now look at her. And he's like, with the flashlight back and forth. And he's like, he goes, young lady, you take her home. You start driving the speed limit. I don't ever want to see you on this Army base again. And I said, yes, sir.
Man, I love friend under the bus, but that's just, and Kajsa, just going on what you said too about how not being buzzed. Here now the thing is, buzz driving is drunk driving.
Drunk driving.
Yeah, but the thing is, just like you, there were times where, and I kind of joke around about it because at the time it was funny, where we would do the oh shit, time to take inventory. You would look up. You wake up. Okay, that's my ceiling. I'm not in jail. That's good. Then you look around. Then you're like, man, how did I get home? And then you're like, oh shit. So then you look out the window. Okay, my truck's there, and it's in the driveway. Oh shit. Then you got to check it to see if it's smashed. I mean, and these were things that we were actually doing to see if it was there or if it was smashed. And then once it was kind of like funny. There ain't nothing funny about that, man. Just like you said, there were times we would do a recap the next day. We'd get up so hungover, go to the bar, have some Bloody Marys, and then do a recap. Okay, what did we do last night? And then your buddies, well, we were here. And then we left to go to this bar. Wait, we went where? And everyone's filling in the dots. And it was like, holy shit. And it's like, you said it. How in the hell and then you see it on the news all the time. Someone killed somebody. I mean, God, if I could never live with myself, man.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, neither one of us were, thank God, fortunate enough to let that happen. But you were there. I was there. So
I did it.
So carry on, man. Doritos in
mouth.
Doritos.
Yeah.
That was good thinking, though. That was good.
I was like, whoa. And the funny part, my friend, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, Kajsa. I was about to jump up and go, we're high, we're drunk. And I'm like, I'm so glad you didn't.
She's drunker than I am.
Yeah, look at her. Just look at her.
Those were my Doritos.
Yeah. Is it like spitting in his face as I'm talking? Oh my God. So
your friend said I was there. Monica Lynn, I was there.
Monica, was that you in the back?
Monica was thrown under that bus.
Yeah, Monica.
Oh man,
I love that girl.
So you got away from the military.
Yeah, I was 18 at that time. But being pulled over. I know I got pulled over, but they never ever. Whatever. I got whatever. But let me tell you that I probably had 5 accidents that I caused, and not one time did they call the police, or obviously I didn't go to jail because they didn't call the police. And one time, I'm not sure what I took, but it made me pass out when I was driving, and I ran and I smashed into this guy, and he smashed into the next car, and she smashed into the next car, and they smashed into the next car. So 5 altogether. That was the last accident that I had. Because it wasn't too long after that I got sober, but I remember calling my drug dealer and saying, I don't know what it was you gave me, but I freaking passed out. Yeah. Right. Man, anyway, so yeah, so that was pretty wild.
Man, I tell you what, our stories, and it's not that we are, making fun or not being lighthearted about any of this. These are real stories. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, they all need to be told, not just pick and choose. No, all of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what it is. And, there were a lot of times I was talking about this earlier about times, in active addiction, man, drinking, partying, all that. I had a fucking riot. I
Mm.
had the things I did were insane. And, we had this guy that I knew who was our dope man. He he called me. He goes, "Hey Gunner, you're not gonna believe this shit." He goes, a couple of the guys said their names. They came over to pick up some blow. He goes, "I gave him the wrong packet. It was heroin."
Oh,
And
fudge.
and he goes, "So they're doing big old lines and shit, thinking they're doing blow, and they weren't, and they're all out of their mind and shit." So they call him back. "What'd you do? What'd you?" And then he's like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong one. Come on back." And it was just like, oh, it's like, do you have a receipt? You got to take it back and exchange it. But I
We
mean,
got a 30-day return policy.
that's how crazy it was back then, or not even back then, but now how it was normal. That
Yeah.
right there was like, oh yeah, I took this, I took that, and that was just our lives in addiction. Was like you said, man, how we didn't get thrown in jail for, because you hear all these other stories. I've had guests who come on. The one of the guests, he killed a little boy on a bike,
Mhm.
and I remember as he was on the show thinking, "I- how did I not?" There were times where I literally was like, "Who drove me home?" And my truck is perfectly parked in the drive. I mean, and I clueless, just clueless.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. So with all this going on, man, I mean, so you've been drinking and partying since 14,
Yeah.
and and then you found out that Ma tells you, Kajsa, I've been going to Al-Anon,
Yeah. That was
and
later. Yeah.
later on. So any other, as far as interaction with the family, because you hit on the one thing about like Mother's Day, how Easter, Christmas. Because for me, I was all in. I loved being, and that's what I really want people to understand how strong addiction is,
Mm.
and what it does to us. Because, like for all of us have, like for me, family, and a lot of us, family's everything. I would look forward to Christmas, Easter, all because the family was together. That meant the world to me. Addiction meant more
Yeah.
because I made that choice. And it was just like, and so that's what I want people to realize when they say, well, it's not that, it can't be that difficult to stop. Just quit. That's all you got to do. And I was like, oh, why didn't someone say that, years ago? Just quit. It's that easy. And that's why I'm glad that you're here, to tell this about, what sleeping
Missing
on the
Mother's Day.
ground
Yeah.
next to the bike
Yeah.
and, anything. I mean, just, don't hold back. I mean, the stories that you got, man, what it's done to you, as far as what is it, as far as like friendships, relationships with family, what is that, some of the things that it cost you?
Well, luckily, I mean, with my family, it didn't cost me anything, but my brother and I did. My brother was undercover narcotics for many years. He doesn't live in Texas, but he's a lieutenant now, but he was undercover narcotics. So we used to have conversations about things. He'd say, "Oh my God, we found this and this. So if you run across that, don't do that." Blah blah blah. But then as time progressed, and it would have been the last like 3 years that I was drinking, and in my addiction. I mean, I'd call him and I'd be just annihilated. And he knew, and he hated that. He'd hang up on me. He didn't want to talk to me. Now, he didn't even live in the
But
same state, but
I mean,
he.
you couldn't hide it from them. I mean, but
I mean, even on
so
the phone, he didn't even see me. But
yeah,
he
I mean,
he
he could
just
tell.
1 second, he knew. Click. He wouldn't
Man,
talk to me, or he'd yell at me. "You repeated yourself 5 times." I'm like, "Hey, well, fuck you," hang up the phone, and so that, and I mean, there I had also had uh, was heavily addicted to pills, and my friends were like, "Yeah, Kajsa, yeah, we're tie dyeing shirts. You're standing over the stove and you're passing out. You know, you 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 have a problem." And I'm like, "I don't have a problem, you know." I'm okay. I got this, I didn't have shit, except for an
See,
addiction
the thing is,
problem.
just like Mary's, all of our stories come right back to this here. What we were saying, it was normal. Mary, you're right. This,
Hmm.
just like you falling asleep on the stove, practically. Face plant. Well, it happens, but no, it don't happen.
No,
These things that we normalize in our lives, trying to figure out how we got home, and doesn't everyone do that? No,
no.
well, I remember walking into the bars with my buddies the next day. We'd walk in, and a lot of the people that these were regulars. We knew everyone. They'd be like, "You fucking assholes, man! I can't believe you did that." And we were like, "What
What?
do we do?" And they're like, "Dude, you got in a fight last night. And you did this." And it was like, "What?" And some of it was like, "No," and then we'd laugh about it. And these are
Did you?
things that aren't funny, man, and that we would do. And like Mary said, this was normal to us. Getting up and waking up on the gravel ground next to a bike. Oh, yeah, okay. And it's a funny story. All these things that you talk, just all of this. And Mary, I just love that because to us, that was our life. That was
Hmm.
normal,
Yeah. Yeah.
man. So with here, it's all going on now. I'm still amazed what you told me at the beginning of this is same job, 21 years. They obviously knew what was going on.
Absolutely. Of course they
So
knew.
these were very amazing people that must have really cared about you a lot.
Yeah,
Or
very much so.
you had picture of the owner having sex with a
Yeah.
donkey or something.
Yeah. No, 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 not at all. Nothing like that. No. But what happened when I started to drink every single day was I got into a relationship with a guy, and well, I was in a relationship, but he wasn't. Okay.
Wow.
And he was verbally abusive, just really not a nice person, but he was one of us. And I've just diagnosed him, but he was. And so he would say the craziest ass things to me, and I met him at a bar, of course. And I'm like, I don't have people following you trying to kill you, that's anyway. So all this crazy stuff, and for me to deal with it and to deal with him was just to drink. Now I started to drink every single day, and I would drink at night when I woke up. And so I remember sitting there at work and looking at my calendar, and I'm like, oh, well, I've had a drink every single day for the past 6 months. Well, that's probably not a good thing. I probably need to do something. Fuck it, I'll do it later. Now it's a year later, and I'm looking at the calendar doing the same thing. Then here comes a year and a half. Then here comes 2 years. And finally came the day when I had to go to my general practitioner, and to get my blood work drawn. And she did my blood work, and she said, Kajsa, I'm going to send you to a liver specialist. Your numbers are really high. Well, I knew I had a problem. I didn't know how to get help, although I had a friend that got sober 5 years before I did. And we've been friends for like 42 years now. So we were like crazy running the gamut. And then she got sober, and I saw her change. Okay, so keep that in your mind.
Mhm.
I end up going to the liver specialist who I went to today. And he looks at me and he says, you have to stop drinking, because if you don't, you're going to die. And I remember thinking, well, I hope he stopped talking, because it's been, 30 minutes since I had my last drink, and I need to go get some more alcohol in me right now before I start shaking and having dry heaves.
Mhm.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And my friend who was sober went with me. But that night was her nephew's birthday, and I told her, because I didn't want her to give me any shit, because I had no intentions on quitting drinking. I said, look, I'm going to drink at, your nephew's party tonight. So I'll quit drinking tomorrow.
Oh yeah, there's
I'm like,
always
oh,
tomorrow.
I can convince her. She'll, and she's like, okay, sure. I didn't want her to say anything. She didn't. Anyway, so then a few weeks pass. And I remember, I'm still at it. I'm still drinking. By this time, I told that guy to leave me alone. And he freaking stalked me for a year. I had to change my phone number. I mean, all kinds of shit. And I remember feeling so bad that I couldn't go to work. I mean, I felt like I was going to die. And I thought, well, I'll just go get a can of chicken soup and some more booze at the store, and I'll just call in sick. So I did that for a week. And come the next week, when I didn't go to work on Monday, on Tuesday, my coworker came over. And she took one look at me and she said, "Holy shit, Kajsa, get dressed. I'm taking you to the hospital right now." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll go." And what I did was I opened up a bag. I took all the booze that was on my nightstand, and it was full of booze. It was wine and vodka. I opened up this bag, and I put everything in there, and I put it over my shoulder, and I said, "Okay, let's go." Yeah. And I did not even take underwear with me, except for the ones that I had on. Okay.
For you took your necessities.
That's all I needed. I didn't need anything else. I didn't need a brush. Okay. So she takes me to the emergency room, and they look at me and they go, "You are jaundice." And I'm like, I go, "You don't even know what you're talking about." They're like, "You are so yellow. Your eyes are yellow." And I'm like, you know. And then the guy says, "Well, here, go pee in this cup for me." I'm like, "Well, okay." So I go pee in the cup, and it is so brown it looks like bourbon. And he's like, "You see this?" And I'm like, "So?" And he goes, "You're going to the hospital. We're taking you to the emergency room. We're gonna put you in the ambulance and take you." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no, no. I'll have my friend drive me," because I'm like, she's got the booze. I can't be without my
Drinks
booze.
on the way there, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, "No, you'll get in the ambulance or we'll call the police." And I'm like, "You can't call the police," because my brother's a cop, even though my brother's not even here in the same state. And I'm like, "Fuck, okay." Yeah, it was like 2 blocks. And of course, I didn't want to pay the $500 fucking ambulance ride. Get to the hospital, and they immediately hooked me up with the banana bag and all this stuff. And I keep telling them, I drink too much. I drink too much. And then they'd come in my room at like 2:00 in the morning. They'd start asking me all these questions. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "I drink too much. I drink too much." And the whole time, and my friend had brought my bag with all my booze in it to my room. So I'm drinking, and I'm rolling around my little room with my banana bag, being rehydrated and drinking, because I must be okay now because I'm being rehydrated. Anyway, finally, after like the 3rd day, they go, "Are you an alcoholic?" And I go, "No, I'm not. I just drink too much." Anyway, so anyway, I do want to show you this. So I had so many, for so long, I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror. When I get to the hospital, I have my little gown on. So I'm going to take a shower, and they have this huge mirror. I'm like, this is abnormally huge, and I got to look at myself. I take off my gown, and I have this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Is it okay? That's a bruise.
Is that your side or your?
That's my stomach.
That's your stomach.
Oh my goodness.
That's a bruise I had on my stomach. It was about the size of a plate.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. What's, anyway, so that was one of the things I saw. I took a picture of it because I'm like, well, this is interesting. Let me remember this for the rest of my life. And so I continued to drink. And so like I was in the hospital. It was at Thanksgiving 2019, that whole week. I ended up running out of booze like the end of the 3rd day. There was 2 days I went where I didn't drink at all. Now, I remember I couldn't sleep, but I didn't really have like withdrawals except for the palms of my hands peeled. All right, so come Sunday, I get out of the hospital. My friend that is now sober comes and gets me. She takes me to my truck. First thing I do is I go get booze. I continue to drink. I go to work that next Monday. I had to go back to my liver specialist now. This is like about a month's time from my last visit. And I walked in there. My friend went with me. And he looked at me and he's like, no, you're going to die. You will die if you don't stop drinking. And my friend said, go ahead, tell her when she's going to die. And I'm like, who the hell is that? You know, because all of a sudden now
Someone
she is
who knows.
no longer consigning to my bullshit, you know?
You can't lie to an addict.
Nah, no, not at all. And, you know, I was like, and I'm coming up, I'm saying all this really stupid shit, but yet I knew I needed help. I wanted help. I wanted to, you know, I didn't know what the fuck I just knew. I knew my friend was sober. I saw she changed. It was beautiful. I loved it. And I knew I needed something. I didn't know what to do. I figured I needed rehab. So my friend's like, well, you can write her a note to get away from work, right? You know, he's like, absolutely. And you can't get fired and this and that. Blah, 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 blah. And so I gave all these excuses why I couldn't go to rehab. Stupid. They started in on me, just hammering, just shooting every freaking stupid idea I had out of the water, which I absolutely am so grateful that they did that, because finally it was about, I'm going to say 20 minutes later, I was like, okay, I'll go to rehab. If I can get an excuse not to go to work, you know, and have my job, because I was so afraid I was going to get fired because, you know, oh my God, they could never live without me being there. You know, so what kind of job was I doing while I was drunk at work drinking, you know? Anyway, so I ended up, you know, I go to work, and like a couple days went by, and I was really scared to tell them, because I'm like, oh my God, they don't know, you know, they don't know that I need help. What will I ever do? Oh my God, you know, what will they do without me? Because I'm so freaking great. Although I'm not, in my mind, I'm scared. Anyway, so my boss, I see her start to walk up the stairs, and it was like, well, it was a force greater than me pushed me out of that chair. And I just jumped up, and I ran over to her, and I just said, Jennifer, I'm going to rehab. And I was just totally expecting her to say,
you're fired.
Hi, Timmy. Yeah, you know, or no, I was really expecting her to go, oh no. And she just said, I'm good. I'm glad. And I went, what? And she said, yeah, Kajsa, you need to take care of yourself. And I'm like, I better go get another drink now. Okay. So anyway, so I, so then a little while later, the owner of the company was out in the warehouse, and they called me out there to talk to her. And, she said, Kajsa, please go and take care of yourself. Do what you need. You will have your job. When you get back, you will get paid. And I mean, like, this ton of bricks and all this fear that I had created didn't really exist. You know, I had made up this scenario in my mind.
That's addiction, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I was so certain nobody knew. They all knew it. Every last one of them knew it. Oh. And anyway, so I remember coming home. My friends hit me up to talk with a lady that was a sobriety coach. I called her on a Saturday, and so we talked for a long time. She gave me some places of rehabs to call, but see, I still had alcohol in my house, so I had to finish it. I had to finish it all. But I was going to go to rehab, and I wasn't going to come home with any in my house, and I wasn't going to pour it down the drain. I'm going to finish it. Okay, so called a bunch of places, you know, if you got $2,000 and jump on a plane to Baltimore. And I'm like, well, I'm like negative 200 in the bank, and I'm not getting on a plane to go to Baltimore to get sober. I'm going to get sober, but I'm not going to do it in Baltimore. Anyway, so I finally find a place called The Right Step here in Houston. And the minute the lady picked up the phone, she starts, you know, punching in all these, I can hear her fingers tapping. See, and I was always afraid I never had enough money to pay for rehab, you know. Well, it just so happened, right? It just so happened that week I spent in the hospital, $35,000 later, took care of my deductible. So my rehab was paid for 100%.
Oh,
wow.
And I'm like, okay, there is something going on here that is way greater than I am, you know. And I started to, you know, things started to become a little clearer to me. And I knew what I needed to do. So So I decided I'd go to the right step. I was going to go on Monday because I still needed Sunday to finish my
Oh,
drinking, and
sure.
I had to wash my clothes and make sure all my stuff was ready to go. So I wanted to have everything ready and to go, for rehab. And so Sunday rolls around. I still have booze. I'm drinking it, but I'm getting all my stuff ready to go. And at 8 o'clock, December 8th, 2019, I sat on the corner of my bed. I looked at the clock and I had my last little bottle of wine, the very last one. And I looked at it and I said, I'm done. This is it. That's it. I'm gone. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Because if I do, I don't want to live. And I drank it. That was it. Went to bed, woke up. And I remember I took a shower and I had all my stuff and something told me to look out the back my window because I have a pool in my backyard. And I looked between the blinds. It was green. And I'm like, oh, it's green. Maybe I shouldn't go.
Ugh.
And
I gotta take care of the pool.
yeah, because I was doing such a great job, already. And that's why it was so green. And I heard a voice said to me, leave now. And I was like, okay, I'm going, I'm out, I'm gone, fuck the pool. And so I grabbed my stuff and I took off for the door. I got out the front door and my mom came to the door and she said, Kajsa, I don't think you have a problem. And I was just like, I'll see you in 30 days. Cause if I stay, I'm going to die. And I threw my bag in the back of my truck and I took off. I drove myself to rehab. And I remember having my coworker that came and took me to the hospital. She kept saying, well, don't drive yourself to rehab. Don't do it. Let me take you. And I said, you know what? I got myself in this situation. I have to get myself out of it. So I'm going to drive myself there. And I did. I drove myself there.
Wow.
Yeah. And, but 5 days before, when I went to my doctor, I had my blood drawn and, my numbers at that time, I drank for 5 days after I drank for 5 days after I got my blood drawn right before I went to rehab. So the top of it's the gamma glutamyl transferase test, GGT. The top of the chart is 4,000. 5 days before I went to rehab, my numbers were 3,623. A month before that, they were at 700. So, yeah, there you go. There you go, Tim. And I didn't even know that till later because I think that there's a reason I didn't know that right away because I probably couldn't have handled it. Anyway, I went to rehab. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. Let's fucking get the party started here. And I started, working on me. And I remember walking into rehab and they took my hair conditioner from me. And I said, what are you doing? Did you see my hair? I need hair conditioner. And she said, give it to us. And I go, no, you don't think I'm going to drink it. She's like, well, somebody had to do it before you to make us do it. I'm like, what the? I go, well, hey, let me see it. So I looked at it. Sure enough, alcohol. And I was like, I would never drink my shampoo, my cream rinse anyway. So I gave it up and they took my cell phone and I thought the world was coming to an end. But actually, it turned out to be the best thing ever for me.
Because that was Kajsa time, man. Listening to some of the things as far as like with the organ failure, I was told I was yellow as could be, and that's why when we were talking beforehand, how it was the same thing. And I remember, the doctors and how you felt. In fact, that's why when I did the double take, when you said I went and got some soup. That must be the thing too, because I remember I wasn't able to eat anything because I was too busy drinking. I had no appetite. I mean, I was bloated, but it wasn't with food, and the feeling was like you said, like you were dying. We were. That's that feeling. It's not like we were dying. We were dying.
We were dying.
And I was the same way, man. And going through this, and I remember my buddy Jared, my brother who died in my arms. He was yellow as can be. All these stories they intertwine, and I remember telling Jared, "You're gonna die." No, no. And then it got to, I don't care. I was told, "Manny, you're gonna die." Yeah, I know. I don't care. It just you get to that point where addiction just takes over,
It
and
does. You don't
and
care
when
about yourself.
you don't care about anything. You don't care,
Nothing.
and then everyone is telling us these things, and it's just like you have no idea. We think we're fooling everybody. Doesn't everyone miss work? Doesn't everyone turn yellow? Doesn't everyone get up? I remember waking up and it was like, oh shit, the party store doesn't open for 3 hours, and then I got to make sure I have a fifth and at least a fifth and a half, or possibly 2/5, because if I wake up and I'm out, I'm going to have to go 3 hours without anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you're
that's
white knuckling it the whole time.
oh, you're going to pay as you're like pushing change over. It's just insane what we go through. And
I remember one of the guys, because I would hit like 4 different stores on different days, I wouldn't go to the same one 2 days in a row because I didn't want them to know I was drinking so much. They all knew. And
oh,
one of
yeah,
the guys,
definitely.
he goes, "You're shaking." And it's 7 o'clock in the morning because that's when you can buy booze. And
Mhm.
I'm shaking and I'm like, "Oh, I just need to eat these tacos. That's all." And I'm buying wine and tacos and, yeah.
And the thing is, like I said earlier, is I had people since I've started doing this try to, tell me shit, and I just stop them. Don't fucking lie. You can lie to everyone else. You cannot lie to an addict. Because we already told this lie. I
Mm,
told someone, I told this lie to someone who told me, Mandy, I told that lie 5 years ago.
yeah.
You can't bullshit a bullshitter, and especially one, because we come up with these lies to the point where we forget what we're saying. And then we think that, oh, we fooled them. No,
Yeah.
you didn't.
And they're all
You really
going,
didn't. Everyone knows. And, it's just one of those things where, like we are so blessed to be here, man, after all we've done, after we all have gone through. So here you are, you drive yourself to rehab. And how long, so you get there, how long was this stint with? I know I heard you say 30 days.
yeah, it was like 28 days.
So I mean, how did this proceed from that to where you are now?
Okay. Well, so when I got to rehab, I was like, I do not care about anything except for fixing what's going on with me, And I get to rehab, and I just thought it was so funny because one of the RAs said, "Well, what guy do you want to hook up with in here?" And I go, "What?" They go, "No, I know you got your eye on one of the guys." I go, "What? In here?" And she said, "Yeah." And I go, "I did not come here to do that. I came in here to frickin' fix this freaking thing I got going on, this demon I got." And Christmas, I was in there rehab at Christmas and New Year's. And I remember waking up going, "I'm so grateful I'm here." But on Christmas Day, the girl that lived across the hall from me, she's like, "We got a bottle of Crevassier behind the shed in the back. You want to come have a drink?" And I said, do me a favor and just don't talk to me, okay? Because I did not come here to fucking drink Crevassier. I'm
And
not
how many
here.
days was this into this when this happened to you? When she
Oh,
said this
well,
to you?
it was probably almost 2 weeks, a little
2 weeks
less than
into
two
it?
weeks. But I'm like, I did not. No, no. I mean,
That
you
says a
you
lot for
do
you.
you
That
do
says
you.
that really does say a lot for you though, for only 2 weeks, because at that point you're ready to either sink or swim, and you swam.
I was done. I was done. Once I walked into rehab, I'm like, "We're going to do whatever it takes. You keep your mouth shut. Don't you fight with anybody. You do whatever they tell you to do, Kajsa, and be nice, And I only kind of argued with one person because she's being rude to my friend. So I had to, justice,
Hey,
Anyway,
we still got to be us.
right, right. So I had a really badass counselor, and he's like from Romania or some shit. I don't know. He was super super cool, and he was very helpful, and we talked a lot, and he was just really helpful. And they said, you should go to AA. And I said, "Okay, well, because there's someone else I know that did that, and she's really amazing right now." So, and then these different people from different groups would come in from the outside and talk to us. And then, I remember probably like the third day I was there, this girl coming in who was in a CA anonymous group. And I remember her standing there and she's like, you know what? When I came in here, I was insane. And her just saying that gave me so much relief, because I'm like, well, look at her. Look at her. And she's been there. She knows exactly what I've been through.
Mhm.
And just to see that, here she was coming in to try to help. And I just knew that, here's something, I need what she has. So when I got out of rehab, he said, I'm going to give you names of AA places. And I said, okay. I said, but give me names of places that are close to me, because somebody else is going to do that work for me. You just do it for me and I'll go there. Anyway.
Mhm.
So I looked at the list and I was like, well, I don't know. Oh, but this place is just like 3 miles up the street from me. Cool. I'll do that. And I saw that they had a 6 o'clock meeting that same day I got out. So I got out of rehab, came home, piddled around, and then I went to my first AA meeting, which I still go to that very same group today. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps fearlessly, honestly, thoroughly. I told her my shit. I thought for sure she's going to think I'm a piece of trash. She didn't even bat an eye. I was like, okay, well, I'm like small change over here.
Oh yeah.
And, and I worked those steps, and I'll tell you, I was like right after step 4, right into step 5. And I always get my coffee in the morning at the Circle K right down the street. They have really good coffee. And I got out of my truck and I looked down between my feet and there's a baggie. And I'm like, oh dear God, no, that can't be there. And I picked it up and I threw it into the trash. Well, as soon as it left my hand, it spun in slow motion over. And I'm watching it go into the trash, and then it went down, it hit, and I just went, holy shit, what was that?
You talk about temptation, huh?
And I said, oh my God. I had to call my sponsor. I'm like, I found a bag of Coke. I threw it away. I didn't even think about it. I threw it away. She said, the obsession has been lifted. I'm the holy shit, you're right. There is something to these steps.
What a proud moment, man.
Ooh.
And Kajsa, something you were saying about that one person that came in to the meeting, who was one of us,
Mm-hmm.
and she said I was insane, and just
Mm-hmm.
talking out here, and that's why that's why I started My Fight Our War, because we could sit there and do the whole clinical thing, which I don't have a clue of because I never did any of it, or you could sit down and have a heart to heart, My Fight Our War kind of bullshit. I mean, it's no bullshit. I'm sorry, no bullshit. Where I'm not going to give you all these fancy terms. Why? Because I don't know them. But what I do know is I'm one of you. And just like that lady telling you I was insane,
Mm-hmm.
you can relate to everything. And that's why what we do and what you do at Talking Trash, that's why it works, man, because people know that we're not looking down on anyone.
No.
It's like you told your story and you're like, man, and they're like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
rookie, you know what? And that's just it too, because I know sometimes I'll tell my story and I got some people that are like, holy shit. And then I'll tell my story and other people are just like, oh, that's it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's it. But no, and that just shows, man. And that's why I love what we're doing. What you're doing with Jim, Tim, and Will, Billy
Yeah, I love those
are
guys.
doing, because who better to relate to and sit down with than someone who says, hey, listen, I know how you feel. How long have you been in recovery? Oh, I'd never been in recovery. Oh, what was your drug of choice? Oh, I never had an issue, but I went to school and I'm a counselor. For those people who have never had an issue with personal or family or friends, but want to help people so bad that they go to college to become this, God bless them, because there's a special place in heaven for them. For someone who's never encountered what we did, but still want to help people, even though they'll never physically, emotionally be able to understand it, but they still want to help. That's amazing to me. But at the same time, they'll never know what
The
it really,
hell.
like I try to tell people when you explain it, like for me, well, just picture the deepest, darkest, scariest, coldest, tunnel that gets darker, deeper, scarier by the second. And we're close to getting to what addiction feels like. And it gets more terrifying
And
every time
hating
you blink.
yourself.
Everything that you do, every breath, every blink of an eye, it gets worse. And it just is consuming your soul. And people are like, oh, and I go, that's just the beginning.
Yeah, that's just the
And,
tip.
but then to tell you that, or you tell me that, you're like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There is no like, what? Saying that, you didn't even blink. You're like, yeah, that's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So that's why what we do is so important, man. And man, so you go through that, you look down, you pass your own test that you didn't even realize, and
Yeah.
there it is, and you did it, and you've been doing it ever since. You know, so how are things going now? I mean, with everything that you got going, obviously we see you and Jim and Tim and Will and Billy and all that talking trash. You know, how I mean, what about like your family, friends, people, your brother? I mean,
Oh, we
that
have the best relationship now. Um, with doing step work, there comes a time when you have to make an amends to the people you have harmed, as long as it doesn't cause anybody else harm or even yourself. So, yeah, so I need to make amends to my brother, and I try to, and he's not having it. He's like, you should have done this, guys. And I'm like, oh, fuck, hang up the phone. So I called my sponsor, and I'm like, look, my brother, he wouldn't take, he got mad, and she's like, okay, don't do it again. Don't do it again. And I said, okay. She goes, well, if the time ever comes up later, you'll know exactly when to do it. I'm like, okay. And, she kept telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, man. But look, you're 14 years clean, sober, you must know something. Plus you don't bat an eye when I tell you my crazy ass shit. So, something for sure. Anyway, so the time did come, and it was about 4 months after. And, I remember I had asked my brother for many years, could you please take mom for a month? Because my mom lives here. I said, please take mom for a month so I can just have some time by myself. And he's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I don't like the way she treats my children. She can't come here. And I'm like, oh, damn it. So anyway, so apparently he and my mom were having a conversation on the phone, and my mom's like, yakking. And then he's like, I fucking can't talk to you. So he calls me to vent. And I'm like, yeah, now you know all the shit I've been through. But so he says, yeah, I don't know how you do it, blah, blah. And I go, hey, Akeem, guess what? Remember all those times I asked you to take mom and you said no? And I said, you know what? I finally got a vacation from her. And he's like, really? When? I said, when I went to rehab. And he's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Kajsa, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I was able to make my amends to him, and he took it. And
so he didn't know. He didn't know you went to rehab.
no, he knew. He
Oh,
knew.
okay, but he didn't
he
realize the mom thing and how that was actually your vacation
from my mom. Yeah, because
from
I
your
kept
mom.
asking him, please
Yes.
take her for a
Oh,
month.
man.
Please let me just have some time. And he wouldn't do it, and then,
Man, that's just.
But yeah, so but we have a great relationship now. My father, my stepfather who raised me, he passed away.
Oh, sorry.
Great man. And my real father, he's alive, but he's got dementia, and I had a lot of issues with him. I had to work through a lot of problems, resentments towards him for not protecting me as a child. And he's got dementia. So now he's not even the same person that was around years ago. So he's kind of gone in my eyes,
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is I look back now, because people, they ask stories.
Thanks,
Or
Heidi.
they'll ask questions just like how did you do this, or how is this possible, how did you feel, just questions, because people don't know, and so they ask, and I don't mind at all. They're like, if this doesn't bother you, go, no, it doesn't bother me, man. If it's going to help somebody, For me, uh, looking back at the things that I said, the things that I did physically, verbally, emotionally, spiritually to people was so evil. And I
Mhm.
didn't care. I didn't even blink, man. I would say the most hurtful things to people that I cared about, and it never bothered me. I mean, at all, to the point where it's like emotions. What are emotions? Just a word. People really don't have them. And then all of a sudden, yeah, becoming sober and all that. I think I told the story on your show about that conversation with my mom when we had to have another talk, which was her to tell me I'm ruining my life. I'm ruining everyone else's life. I'm this, which is 100% right. And she started crying and then sobbing, beating her chest. She's crying so
Mhm.
hard. You're breaking my heart. Here's me. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. Are you happy now? I'm sorry. Okay. This is why we don't talk. And
Empty
so,
words.
and I was just like, and all of a sudden, fast forward a year or so later, sober, same time, same table, having a conversation, laughing, enjoying everything. And I'm looking at her, and it was like all of a sudden, time stopped, and a slideshow went right in front of her, and it was her face starting to cry. And I'm just staring at her. The next one was her crying harder. The next one was her beating on her chest. The last one was her, "You're breaking my heart." And I'm just staring at her, and she's looking at me. She's like, "What's the matter?" And then I lost it. I'm crying. She's like, "What's going on?" And I just lost it. I said, "I'm so sorry." I go, "Remember that one of the many talks when you were doing this?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, that's the first time I felt remorse, disgust, all these terrible things that you should feel when you say something that terrible. You should feel that. And I didn't until now. And I remember thinking, wow, this is what it feels like. These emotions, caring, respectful, all these things. It's just like having to learn all over again. But
Yeah.
man, is it worth it? Is it so
Yeah,
worth
it
it?
it really is. And I at my home group, I hold a trusted servant position. And I chair a big book study on Monday night. So because it's very important to give back, I got to give back what I have in order to keep what I have, and
Mm,
help the next struggling addict alcoholic. Now, not everybody listens to what I say, and that's okay because there's different paths of recovery. I don't certainly have the market cornered. I just know what works for me, and and I'm involved in a gazillion Facebook pages. I don't even know how many, but
And that's what's so good about what we do is I will never, and I've said it many times, you'll never hear me or anyone in our family say, "Listen, this is how you got to do it." There's so many. I'll have people ask me, "Manny, what's the best way to do this? What's the best way to stay sober, or what's the best way to recover than stay sober?" I'm like, "Listen, man, your way is the best way.
mhm.
What works for me won't work for you, or it may not. But that
Yeah,
doesn't mean you failed, man. That just means we're going to try something new." That's why all of these platforms, you, us, every here, all of the Lori, all of the people who are part of our family that reach out with advice instead of judgment.
Mhm.
It's just a
mhm.
beautiful thing. We're not
Yeah,
going to judge you. We're not going to, bully you. We're not going to degrade you. We did enough of that on our own,
yeah,
so, but it's
yeah.
just, it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's so amazing all the people I've met on social media,
Mhm.
and I have had the opportunity to meet some of the people that I've met on social media in person, and and they're in recovery as well, and we're friends. We talk to each other every day. Um, you know, uh, like Mary and Monica, those gals, they just invited me to help them, you know, run their little
Mm.
Facebook group, this recovery page, and I love them. They're funny. We talk shit. It's great.
Yeah.
But they are so always willing to help the next person. So you just get a bunch of people just going out to help the next,
And that's
and
how it
just making
starts.
it bigger and bigger and bigger. And then hopefully people get connected underneath this umbrella of recovery. Because
Yes.
I think that's the ultimate goal, to let
And
people
that
know that
they're not alone, man.
exactly.
And when you feel that, that's addiction. But the whole thing you just said about we reach out. and we help. We extend that arm, we extend that hand, we extend the ear, the shoulder, whatever's needed. And I've talked to many people where I said, listen, no one would blame you if I was telling this guy this one time. I said, after all that you went through, no one would blame you if you focused 100% on you and your family, your wife and your kids, and did everything to be that guy, the perfect husband, perfect father, to take care, and you just focused on you and your family. No one would look down at you for doing that. But no, man, what do? Okay, I'm good now. How am I going to help this person? How am I going to? I mean, it's just that constant giving and sharing, and that's what we do. And it's just, it's just such a blessing to be part of.
Yeah, it truly is. And, I met up with Tim Snyder, through a
Mhm.
Facebook page. And, he invited me on his show and to tell my story. So I did. And then he invited me back. And then I, got to meet Will and Jim. Well, haven't met him in person yet, but actually, Jim has invited me to come to Regina. Yes, that's the name, Regina, Saskatchewan, to be their main speaker for their AA Roundup
That's
in
awesome.
in September. Okay, I've been to these things. There's like 1,500 people there, and I'm going to be there telling them my story.
I tell
Uh,
you, did you ever think that
Thanks,
someone
Sheila.
that do you think did you ever think there'd be people waiting and to hear what you have to say, or anyone would care? Because like for
No.
me, it's like it still amazes me when people are like, hey man, we want you to come on the show, or you really you made a difference, people want to hear your story. It's like, it's it's Manny, you have the right person. And then now, like, I've Lori, who's on here now from Athens, Alabama. She's having a huge event, and
Oh,
not only
yes.
am I honored to be asked to be a speaker there, she's got me kicking this thing off, and doing all these things. And all of a sudden now I find myself, it's like people like, will you come to, New Milford, Connecticut? Will you come to Dallas, Texas? Will you come to, New Milford, Connecticut? And it's just like, and the thing is, it's just sharing our stories.
Mhm.
And like I said on one of the shows, they're like, what are you grateful for? And I'm saying all these things. And I said, man, I'm so grateful for addiction. Thanks to addiction. They're like, what? And I go, hey, if it wasn't for addiction, we wouldn't be
Ye-
talking right now. My
Isn't
fight,
that?
our war wouldn't exist. Talking trash, you, me,
Yeah.
OC, we wouldn't be doing this. So I said, but don't get me wrong, addiction fucked up because he brought together, addiction brought together the baddest bunch of warriors and champions together
Mm,
to fight addiction as one. So now it's time to throw down. And all of us here, that's what we are. We're a family. We all got
absolutely.
different names, man.
Hmm.
But we're just one big family.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah. Uh, I know you had asked me about some of my friends.
Mhm.
There are a few that I don't. I mean, we're still friends, but we just really don't really talk at all, really. But we're still friends. I mean, every now and then, maybe a hey on Facebook, or if I pass them on the street. Um, but um, but I do have a group of friends that still drink, and I go over to their house. My old
Mhm.
roommate, we were roommate for 10 years, so the bartender. And she's married and got a kid and all this stuff, and I go over there on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I spend time with them. On my 60th birthday, we all went out and partied, the same people that went out on my 50th birthday and partied. Well, I didn't drink. I drank Topo Chico, and but they were all drinking, and we were country and western dancing and having a great time. And I can go be around people that
Mhm.
party. um you know I don't spend the night. I always take my own car so I can leave when I want to.
Yes.
And but I am able to go out and have a good time and not have that monkey on my back,
See, and that's the
you
best
know.
thing about it because, like, for me, I've been very blessed. I know there's some people who cannot be around it. They can't be around
Yeah.
certain things, certain people, certain places. And I feel so bad for them because it's almost like addiction, man. When you're in addiction, man, you're in that room with the blinds down in the corner like this. Well, sometimes with people that I've talked to about that are in recovery, they're almost still like that same person because they're so afraid of relapse that, oh, I don't go out, I don't go here, I don't talk to this person,
Mm,
I don't. So it's like they're sheltered themselves from living. Like
yeah.
because I've had what people ask me, I'm like, I go, I do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
on my Harley with the same crazy fuckers that are, some of them, the drinking, the drugs, they know where I stand, but it's just now I do the same crazy stuff and I enjoy doing it, but I just don't do the drinking, the drugs, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's there, but some people can't be around it. God bless you for making that choice not to, because don't tempt fate. I mean, if you can't, then don't.
Yeah. Don't.
But for me, like I always say for myself, I do all this stuff because for me and my belief is, what's the use of being sober if I'm going to stop living?
You're right.
That's I've been given this gift, and and it's truly a gift. And like I said, that gift brought us together,
Yeah.
to tell our
Absolutely.
stories. And it's just I appreciate it so much. And I say this to all the guests that come on. This when it comes to me and my fight or war and coming on, it's not a one and done. It's not like, okay, I did your show
No.
and you never talk to them again. But I do know some people who have been a guest on the show. That's all they want, because these individuals who I've starting to play the game and see how life really is in the social media world. They just want their story to be on as many platforms as you want, because they're building up their own social media, and that's fine. If that you do you,
Yeah.
but for the
Absolutely.
rest of us here, you know what? If I mean, I've been on your show a few times. You
Mm-hmm. We're
guys
having
have
you back
been
again.
on. I'm coming back again, but that's what we do, man. And it's just like share. It's like family. Like I'd like to say it. It's like sitting around a bonfire and just sharing stories. Bullshitting. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And, except our stories are a little more out there, and but that's what we do, man. And Kajsa, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing, because our stories, man, they're deep, they're dark, they're personal, they're they hurt,
Yeah.
And they help.
but they
Yes.
help, man. And just by seeing, just like you told that one, or you were talking about that one lady, she goes, when I was here I was insane, and you're like, now
Mm-hmm.
look at her, she's helping people. Well,
Mm-hmm.
look at you. I mean, you're doing the same thing. And you've got the experience, and you've got the love and the compassion and the caring and the motivation, and you're helping so many people.
Saving lives.
So many
She's
people.
doing.
And I really hope you know what a difference in this world you're making, because you really, really are.
Oh, well, gosh, thank you.
No, no, it's an
But
honor, man.
I enjoy it. I love I do. I mean, it's not like, oh my God, I have to go help somebody. I genuinely want to do this. I
Yep.
I did get the opportunity to take someone through the steps.
Hmm.
I think it helped me more than it helped her. But I watched the light come on in this person's eyes,
Yes.
and there is absolutely nothing like that.
It's
I mean,
better than any
it's
high. It's just like when you feel that you've accomplished something so powerful that not only is it helping you, but you, like you just said, you brought someone else into this light. And some people might be thinking, "Oh God, they're gonna get into the Bible thumping and all." Hey, you know what? I don't care what religion you are, what
yeah,
you do, don't do, and all that. But for me, faith is everything, man. For what we've all gone through to still be here, and then me, I always look back at the ones who aren't here, and
yeah.
I owe it to them, man, because I've been so blessed, because I suffer with survivor's remorse so
Mhm.
much. It's like, why me? They were so much better. They did so many positive things, compared to me. But it's for a reason, man. And this
Mhm.
is it. So,
Yeah.
but again, Kajsa, thank you so much, man.
Thank
And
you so
before
much.
we let you go, I obviously you're with Talking Trash, and um,
Mhm.
how
Dr.
let everyone
Trash.
know how they can get a hold of you, where do they go, sites and all that stuff, man. Time to promote yourself.
All right. Well, talking trash. We have a pay. Oh God,
Mhm.
we have a page. You can follow us there, or you can come to Sober Hope Group on Facebook. or the Sober Revolution, A Beautiful Day in Recovery, to mention some. Tim Snyder, look him up. Jim Leibel, look him up. Kajsa Reynolds, that's me. You look me up. Ask Manny. Manny can, yeah. So
yeah, we're one big information of just family and where to. And, that's one thing, man. It's this, I've always said from day one, this is not a I and a me. This is a us and a we. That's what we are. You know what? We're one family with a lot of different names. I might fight our war. You're talking trash, but you know what? We're still the same family.
Yeah, we are.
So, man, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
so much.
And,
really.
I'm really looking forward to working more with you guys. And, it's an open door policy over here for all of you. And as we said before coming on, man, if you got that all of a sudden, wait a minute, I got this bug up my ass. Who wants to go? Man, he'll do it. Hit me up and I will. So
we got Jim Leibel on May 2nd.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
No, you're welcome. Love you, and we
love
will
you too.
We'll be talking to you soon.
Okay. All right. See you, OG. Thank you, honey.
Thank you. Bye, darling.
Good night.
Night.
Man, she's got a bundle of energy, boy. You can just feel the raw emotion, man. And we're all different. I mean, I'm not saying one person cares more than the other or one's better than the other, anything like that. Because we all care. It's just that we have our own, just like everyone's different, man. Some people are funny as can be. Some people are boring as can be. Some people are annoying as can be. And some of them are all that person in one, But the bottom line is, man, when it comes to doing what we're doing, as I said, there is no one way, And Tyler, how you doing, brother? And to all of you that were on,
Lori
Mary,
was on,
Tyler,
on,
Mary, I know that you had some comments about some of the stuff. If you are wanting to share your story, Mary, get a hold of OG here. As you can see, her name on the post, Lynn Barron's Hannah, will pop up as well. You've seen it on here.
Yeah.
Where are you? No, you're not. Oh, there it is. You'll see it there. Lynn Barron's Hannah, the way it's written, but everyone knows there's OG. So Mary, if you're interested in wanting to share your story, please reach out. And or if you or who's the other one?
Yeah, Monica? Don't reach out to Manny.
Don't reach out to me because I will screw that up. I have a yes problem where it's just like,
sure.
Hey, you want to come on our show? Sure. Yeah. Hey, can we come on your show? Yeah. Hey, we're gonna have an event. You want to do it? Yep. And next thing you know, there's like triple booked. We're here. We're on a plane doing all this stuff. But seriously, Mary, if you are interested, definitely get a hold of us. If you have someone else, or if anybody here has somebody that they think would want to come on and share their story, have them hit us up, because that's what it's about. Sharing. And it's a safe place. No one's you're not gonna be judged. You're not going to be looked down on. You're going to be loved and supported, motivated. And you're going to get that kick in the ass, when needed.
But Manny's easy to talk to. You see him every day.
Yeah, man.
Multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day. People are like, yeah, man, we know who you are. It's just like, well, hopefully. But and I got what Kajsa was saying too, how much she enjoys doing this, because I'll have people, when I first started this, the first couple shows, they're like, how many shows have you done, or how long have you been doing this? I go, I just started. I go, like the other day, or that other time with Dan in Saskatchewan, he goes, how many shows have you done? I go, live shows, like this? Yeah. I go, none. You're my first.
This is it.
And it was just like, oh, and I ended up having a ball. And now here I went from a phone, a tripod, and earbuds,
and a little circle light
to a little circle light, now to a studio in Detroit, a studio in New York, a portable setup to just get up and go and help as many people as we can. So please, man, if you've got somebody is come check us out. Sheila's in the house, and it's still Sheila's birthday month. Sheila, happy
Only a
birthday.
couple more
You
days
got a
left.
couple more days. So to this April is Sheila's birthday month. So happy birthday, Sheila. Um, Tyler, Mary, like I said, Mary hit us up. Um, and let's chit chat. And there was someone else that she had. Was it Monica? I think.
Yeah, Mary and Monica. They're
That,
Facebook friends, and
but
they're
all of I can't stress enough, man. If there's somebody, because I did have someone when I first started doing this stuff reach out and wanted to come on, and when I said, "Yeah, all right, well, what's going on?" We talked a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it. We'll talk." And he was like, "Really?" He goes, "I tried to get on a couple other shows, and and these were shows that he was constantly following and supporting and posting on. Well, he reached out and said, "You know what? I'd like to be a guest on the show." And they told him, well, your story's really not, that it doesn't feel like it's that captivating. So we don't think we get that many
Mm-mm-mm.
viewers. So we're not interested. And I was like, son of a
Whoa.
bitch. I don't care who you are, man. If you got a story and you got a voice, it's worth being told because we're all here to help.
Mhm.
So please, if there is somebody, let us know. Reach out to OG
Yeah.
and
To
she
me,
will take care of
not to Manny.
she'll take care of all the scheduling and all the admin stuff. And then once that happens, then you're mine once you come on here. Along with Jacqueline and Amber and the Shenanigators and
Oh,
Heidi
yeah.
and the amazing family that we have in here. Um, I mean, you can see it. Will pop on. Today was scheduled. When you see the promos, those are scheduled.
Mhm.
The majority of the time, it's just me popping on whenever. And what the cool thing is I'll do it all during the day, all different times. And all of a sudden I'll look and boom, boom, boom. People will start popping on and just sharing stories,
Mhm.
sharing a few laughs, and just having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, man. It's not about judging or worrying about what someone thinks or how if I say the right thing. Believe me, when it comes to saying the wrong thing, you're looking at the king. And you know what though? We're human. I'm going to say something wrong again probably before this night's over. And but you know
I'll
what?
report on it tomorrow.
Yeah, what we do is what we do. We're here. We're here to help.
Mhm.
So, OG, you got anything before we end this?
Just another wonderful day, but just wanted to let folks know tomorrow we have Randy Powers at 7 p.m. On the 27th, Sunday, we have John Toole for part 2 of his story, and then Ryan Page on Monday. So we've
Yeah.
got 3
And
more days booked
and
up.
our girl Heidi, who's been my fighter or war royalty since day one,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Appreciate you and everything you do
All
and
these
everything you
warriors.
say. Thank you so
Mhm.
much, man. Tyler, Jacqueline, Sheila, our birthday girl, Ben, and all of us have things going on in our lives. But even at some of the hardest times, you'll still see them pop on here. All of us. I know Sheila's been having some issues, but does she clam up and just because she's having issues? No. What does she do? She comes on here
And
and
reaches out.
supports other people
Mhm.
while she's going through her own turmoil. So that just goes to show
Mhm.
you the type of people that are here. So Sheila, thank you so much, and all of you for all of the support, the love, the motivation.
Tyler's
And
birthday's on May 1st. So at some point, because we actually have a guest,
hey,
but
huh?
sometime on May 1st during the day. Whoa, are you working during the day? What time are you available? Because it's going to be one of those ad hoc.
Oh, here it is. My birthday's May 1st.
He said, let's do a live. So you know what? He goes live all the time. So
Well,
it might be during
and
the day. It might be because we have an an evening thing.
yeah, there's so
We
much
have
going
booked a
on,
show.
and we'll definitely try to reach out. Tyler, you pretty much
You're on
are
all the
hitting
time.
us
We can
all the
put you
time,
on
man.
all the time.
Make sure you reach out. Which I know we're gonna be chit chatting before then, but make sure you do it on your birthday too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on right now. Besides what's going on here, we're getting ready to head to New York again.
Well, you could talk to him during the day.
For shows there. We're getting ready to head when we're going to be back for a couple weeks, and then we're heading to Alabama for a show. We're going to be back for a month or so. Then we're going to back to New York and Connecticut for and in the meanwhile, a week from Tuesday, this old boy is going back to work.
You
at
read
Harley.
my mind.
And
Back to
so
work.
there's so much going on right now. And a huge thank you to
Woo.
all the guys and to George at Wolverine, man. Mark, everybody, thank you guys for everything.
You'll have to do some shows from Harley.
I'll be doing stuff from all over the place.
Yeah.
So again, Heidi, Sheila, all you guys, love you so much. And we will be chit-chatting soon.
Mm-hmm.
So until next time, love you guys.
Good night.
Keep fighting the good fight. Let's see if I hit the right one here.
Hit the right one.
Intro 2. Yeah, let's go with that. See what